Love Me Tender is the title of my service today, our service. And I'll just warn you, I brought Kleenex with me. It's a very tender topic for me, and by the feeling in the room, I don't think I'm alone. A good number of people avoid church on Mother's Day because they are afraid their own experience won't measure up to the sermon. Our expectations of ourselves as mothers and fathers, our expectations of our own parents are immense and hard to live up to. And we're not direct in our expectations, certainly not as children and teens. We're not even direct as a culture about our expectations of our parents. If we said them out loud, the expectations a child has of a parent might sound like this: love me always. Love me no matter what, and love me enough. Love me in the way I expect you to love me. And the expectations of us as parents towards our children might be, I will love you always. I will like you always. I will always do right by you. These expectations can create anxiety in mothers and would-be mothers, and a great sense of disappointment for some who feel they've been denied the kind of parenting that may have made all the difference. As a result, we may feel that something is lacking. Why are these expectations so high? Because it matters. That's why. Because it matters. It's more than about mothers, of course. It's about how we raise our children as a family, as a community. That matters. But those expectations are nearly impossible to meet by mothers alone. Obviously, it falls to women initially because physically, as you know, we're the ones equipped to give birth and nurse our young. But the truth is, at every age, we all need tenderness, unconditional expressions of compassion, of love, of connection with one another. That being said, I have been both perplexed about my own mother at times and dismayed at my own maternal shortcomings. In my young adulthood, I questioned whether I got all the tenderness and mothering that I needed. I actually believed that I didn't. My mother can sometimes lack subtlety or gentleness, and I mistook this for indifference. She can drop comments that alarm me, not out of malice, just as a matter of fact. For example, she arranged her own cremation. You can laugh. She arranged for her own cremation. Linda, she says, I've joined the cremation society. Here's the paperwork. Do not, I repeat, do not call the funeral home. Call the cremation society. I've learned not to be alarmed with my mother. I did not want to go to the truth that this brings up for me. She's getting older. She's 75, very able, but 75 nonetheless. They'll charge you a fortune just for taking the body, she exclaims. Okay, Mom. I respond, I won't call the funeral home. And my imagination goes to that time when I will lose her, and a little bit of me begins grieving. I am tender, but I don't tell her. And honestly, my mother and I are not cut of the same cloth. We have much in common, but how we operate on an emotional level is fundamentally different. She rarely cries, and as I demonstrate to you right now, I cry easily and often. So if you make me cry, don't think it's a big deal. It's not. I'm sentimental. She is not. When I was younger, I thought this meant that I was weak and that I was too sensitive. Now I know we're just different. In this way, our relationship taught me that not everyone is like me. Still, when I think about her, when I reach back, remembering something before memory, think about it, your feelings, something before memory. I have a tactile reminiscence that deeply connects me to her. I remember the first time I saw her with a baby. More likely the first time I paid attention to her with a baby. I was probably 20 years old and home for a little bit during summer. The neighbor had recently had a baby, and I saw my mom sitting on their front step, holding the infant in her lap, bringing the infant's face close to her own as she cradled the little round head in her hands. So she was just like this. I think our arms are just the right length for babies, right? She was cradling that little round head in her hands, and my mother cooed lovingly at this little one. And I didn't recognize her. I noticed really for the first time how truly tender my mother could be. This tough feminist, this woman who earned a math degree and then an MBA, who owned her own business, this woman who told me as she dragged a garbage can into my bedroom that if I didn't clean my room, she'd throw everything on the floor into the trash can. This woman, well, she cooed so sweetly. The baby responded likewise. Then it hit me, that something before memory awareness. I knew then just how she had held me, and my heart softened. I was seeing the side of my mother I had simply forgotten. Honestly, I was maturing out of my adolescence and beginning to see the world as it really is, multifaceted. Both a tough mom and a cooing mom. I saw her finally not as either tender or tough, but as both tender and tough. Since then, I have seen this side of her repeatedly, most often in the loving relationships she has with her grandchildren. And then there's my own reluctance towards mothering. They say some are natural to it. I don't think I was. When I was 7 or 8 months pregnant with our first child, Claire, we attended the funeral of my husband's grandfather. My in-laws and I were gathered at the family home the evening before the memorial service. The newest member of the family was less than a month old. She was the daughter of my husband's cousin. This baby scared me. She scared me because she had the power to out me. She had the power to out me as an unfit mother-to-be. I didn't want everyone to know that I didn't even know how to hold a baby. I tried not to look at her. I maneuvered my baby belly and myself so as not to be engaged with anyone holding the baby. Then my mother-in-law said in a voice that was loud enough for everyone to hear, "Linda, do you want to hold the baby?" To which I responded, "No." So it was that I went into motherhood wanting to be a mother, but very unsure about how to be a mother, about my ability to be a mother. The truth is, it was those expectations we have of mothers that made me so self-conscious. 8 weeks after I declined the opportunity to hold a baby, our own baby Claire showed herself to us. She had brown hair, dark eyes, and a really cranky expression. And I'm one of the lucky moms because I felt love at first sight. She taught me to love babies. And now, like my mother, I beg, give me the baby. I want to hold all the babies. My daughter taught me to be tender with all babies. And I hope I gave her the tender love, the something before memory we all need, a love that I hope she can too someday tap into. I think we inherit our tenderness, our compassion, and our sympathies, both physically and culturally. I don't know who among our ancestors started this. Ancestors long ago, now grown and passed from the world. Maybe it was the countless babies who offered up love to their parents, inviting them to tenderness. Maybe it was all the mothers and aunties, fathers and grandmas way back before memory who loved those babies, and this tenderness was passed down and sometimes embellished and sometimes diminished, but always passed down, and now it's mine. It's ours. I want to pay it forward. In my children, in my relationships with you, all of it. Pass along all that is rich with tenderness in our lives, all that we long for and deserve from our relationships with each other. We inherit it from our birth, and everyone in this room is heir to human tenderness. While this human tenderness may begin with our interactions with our moms and or our dads, for it to be transformative, we need to see it, to feel it beyond those initial relationships. When we do this, we tap into something even bigger than our mom's love, more powerful because it has the ability to transform our world into something beautiful instantly. Tenderness is passed down, but it also is passed sideways from persons who are not related, persons who just care. I was reminded of this by the opening monologue of the movie Love Actually. The scene opens with the narrator describing how he copes with gloominess. As he speaks, the screen fills with tender reunions you're likely to see in any airport. Here's what he said. Whenever I get gloomy with the state of the world, I think about the arrivals gate at Heathrow Airport. General opinion starting to make out that we live in a world of hatred and greed, but I don't see that. It seems to me that love is everywhere. Often it's not particularly dignified or newsworthy, but it's always there. Fathers and sons, mothers and daughters, old friends, husbands and wives, boyfriends, girlfriends. When the planes hit the Twin Towers, as far as I know, none of the phone calls from the people on board were messages of hate or revenge. They were all messages of love. If you look at it, I've got a sneaky feeling you'll find that love is actually all around. Love is actually all around. And since that movie, I have never traveled through an airport again without noticing. Never, never. and my life is more beautiful for it. And sometimes I'm the one at the arrivals gate at the airport. If you practice, you can learn to recognize tenderness, the coffee made for you in the morning by your wife, or the oil changed in your car regularly and without comment by your husband, or the way your teenager leans against your shoulder unexpectedly with tender, unspoken affection. It might be your friend's brilliant, flashing smile as she looks at you with love when she sees you. You might recognize it when someone looks for just a second longer into your eyes, recognizing, pausing, seeing you for who you really are. It might even be the fact that the toilet seat is down. Pay attention. It often comes disguised, perhaps as a gift of a prepaid cremation, saving you the angst of making arrangements. Imagine. Or like the tender words my mother told me one night late last winter on the phone when I was driving home. She said, "When I go, it's okay." She said it like that, like so cash. "When I go, it's okay. It's been a good life." That's all. That's all I need to know right now. It's okay. Tenderness requires the letting down of your guard. It's like melting away aloneness, melting into your mother's arms, safe, loved, whole. Melting into your friend's arm when your grief is more than you can bear alone, especially this time of year. The transitions demanded by graduations require a tenderness of letting go of the baby. When you know it's been enough, the child is grown enough. So I challenge you to recognize one kindness, one tenderness each day. It's everywhere. See it in how others treat each other. Step back. Be observant. And you don't need to pay it back with a lanyard. You pay it forward with tenderness. Be the love you need in the world. Be the love the world needs. Try a little tenderness. So be it.